Yes, Allah is totally other from anything in His creation. And if that is true, without some even smidging that moves in that direction, like an image that we can use, then all of our language becomes meaningless about God.
I'm wondering why you're dodging this question. Listen to the question. Human beings' experience of this world through the eye, although we know through science the brain can translate, but we experience it to be the eyeballs, yes or no?
I fail to see how what you have said makes any sense of the Quranic verse that I'm reading, except by reducing the words of the Quran to such meaningless things that they don't mean anything at all. Would you agree with me that if we are looking at a genuine contradiction of Tawheed, that you should leave Islam? So, my question, Belly. Jesus carried this Bible you carrying today. Did Jesus carry the Bible you carrying today? So, no. My question. Did Jesus carry the book? You keep it quiet. My question. Let me talk. I'll give you a moral reason. Keep the video. I'll talk to you. I'll give you. Take the video off. I'll talk to you. I'll give you. No. A moral reason. No, not moral reason. Why? You should answer my question first. You listen to my question. No. So my question was, madam, it was this, and this is why he should answer my question first. Is because I was having a debate with these guys about the Quran, and then he came in calling me a liar based on what I was saying. So I'm going to come to the question. So then it's fair of me, if he's going to come and call me a liar when I'm talking about the Quran, that he demonstrates what I am lying about. Do you agree with that logic?
Yeah.
You're a Muslim. Do you agree with that logic?
Yes, of course. He made that allegation. He has to demonstrate
a Muslim is correcting you. A Muslim is correcting you.
Believe Catholic is Christian.
Do you? If someone accuses someone of lying, do they have to prove it?
Yes, they do.
Do you believe Catholic?
If I called you a liar, should I prove
He's
it?
not teaching me.
If I call you a liar, should I prove it? If I call you a liar, should I prove it? Right. I was talking about the Quran.
What the Quran?
You
Quran. Repeat the Quran.
You called me a liar.
First things first.
So now you have to prove what I was lying about.
Yeah, I'm telling you why.
You don't even know my question.
No, I'm going to tell you why.
What was my point?
No,
Okay, so what was my point?
Let me answer.
Okay, what was my
The
point?
reason I'm telling you that you're a liar, this is a translation of Quran. This is not the Quran. Am I right?
Yes.
So please rephrase your sentence again.
Okay.
I am reading the translation.
That is absolutely fine.
So no, can you apologize for that? That you claim it's the Quran.
Let me address that point.
I'm not talking to you.
Let me address that point.
You are not majority here. You are a minority.
So notice his attitude. Notice his attitude. You're not a majority here.
Exactly.
You're a minority. In other words, the Sunni Muslims think that they can persecute the Shia
And everyone else. And everyone else.
Everybody. Christians.
They
think they can persecute the Jews.
Do you believe Catholic Christian? Do you believe Catholic Christian?
He's not lying. He corrected you. He corrected you.
You said
Okay, madam,
Catholic are not
I'm going to
Christian.
speak to you
I
now.
said he's not a Muslim.
Yeah, just give me the
Because he's a
question.
Shia.
Sure.
He's a Shia.
I'm going to speak to you now.
Okay, yeah.
Okay, because I've tried for over 10 minutes to engage with this guy,
Look, sister.
and he doesn't want to engage.
He doesn't have manners.
Okay.
He doesn't have manners. He's an animal.
Yeah.
You're a monkey.
Shall we move away from these two while they you've just been racist.
He called me monkey.
You don't call a black man a monkey.
He called me monkey.
You don't call a black man a monkey. You don't call a black man a monkey.
He called
Bro,
Shia Shabbat monkey.
Don't worry about it.
That's what he
Don't worry about
said.
it. No one
You call him a monkey and you call him a monkey.
Terrible.
He called me monkey.
So
He called.
my argument.
Every time he called us monkey.
The reason why I have this argument is because regular Muslims
Did you call him a monkey?
they come. Sir,
See that?
I'm trying to.
Don't be
I'm trying to
deceived. No,
speak to her.
You made a big big speech.
I'm trying to
no,
talk
one
to
second,
her.
sister. 1 second,
Sorry,
bro.
I'm
You made
trying
a
to
big
talk
point.
to her.
Apologies. No,
You see what I mean?
Did he call
All right,
They
I'm
don't
gonna
know
talk to you
civilization.
too.
They don't know civilization.
Let's keep talking about
You
some
made a
other
big
time.
point.
I'm going to talk to you.
Let's
Of
just
calling
get
monkey.
his
Did he
point.
call me monkey?
And then
going
we
to
can
talk.
No, Bob. Be
I'm
honest.
going to
No,
talk.
Bob. Please.
I've
ask
no,
him.
no,
They
no.
Did he
want to
call me
dictate.
monkey?
I am going to
Please
talk.
ask him.
I am
no,
not your
Bob.
Jimmy.
No, please.
Why
I
is
am
he
not your
interrupting?
Jimmy.
No, please ask him.
I am not your
I'm
Jimmy.
requesting you.
I am not your
ask him,
Jimmy.
Did he
I
ask
am
me
not
call me
your
monkey?
Jimmy. I will ask him that question when you answer my
No,
question.
ask him.
Okay.
Do you
He's
believe
trying to
so?
dictate now.
You had a moral
So-
ground on me.
He
calling me
thinks
monkey.
Bob's his slave.
No,
I know
did he
he
call
does.
me monkey?
I know he does.
Bob has
Did
to
I
he
know
call
it
me
is.
monkey?
They
The
think we're all
Salafists
Did he call me
follow
monkey?
a
He's
supremacist
minority.
ideology,
He's a minority.
and they
He
will
doesn't
persecute us the moment they have the opportunity. And you need to wake up to that
Generalizations
fact.
again. Generalizations again.
Supported by 1400 years of history.
All lies and
So,
generalizations.
go and speak to the Coptic Christians. They'll tell you quite different.
Can we just let Bob make his point,
So,
please?
the point
As
that I
long
was
as they are
raising.
not lies and
You see
generalizations.
what I mean?
Just let him
You
say it.
can't.
Just let him say it.
So the reason why I'm challenging Muslims on the Quran is because there are Muslims in the park that make a habit of going around and attacking the Bible. Now, Muslims have a belief, and I've had it confirmed multiple times,
Okay, yeah.
that Allah cannot enter into his creation because it is not befitting of his majesty to do so.
Yeah.
Okay, now that is what they believe, that's fair. Okay, now if you have two statements that contradict themselves, they cannot both be true. One of them has to be wrong.
Okay.
Okay? Now, I read this in the translation given by a Muslim. This is not a Christian translation, this is a Muslim. Yeah. And he quotes, and he gives the passage thus. Okay? And it's in Surah 75, Ayah 22 and 23. Okay? And it says in this passage quite clearly, some faces that day will beam with brightness and beauty, looking towards their Lord. Now, 1 second, sir.
asked
I'm
the
not
same
talking
question
to you.
100 times.
Oh my
Don't
God.
get the
Wait,
same
let
answer.
us wait.
You asked the same question.
We'll get to that. We'll get to that.
Yes, she asked me to, sir.
No, it's fine.
She asked me to.
Yeah, yeah. But like this, yeah.
So,
You believe in 3
now,
1.
this contradicts the belief that Muslims have. Because Muslims will all agree with me that there is a reference to people, and it's a reference to a subcategory of people, some, that faces are created, the day that this happens is created, that brightness and beauty are created, that vision is created,
to read that
and that
Arabic side of it.
direction is created.
Read the Arabic, please.
So in everything in the sentence is a created thing. It is fair to conclude that Allah has entered into his creation so that they can see him. Now, why am I doing this? 1 second. Why am I doing this? Muslims attack Christianity because we believe that God has entered into his creation. And they say, well, this is logically irrational, it's logically contradictory, it compromises what the rationale of God. So, if I find a verse in the Quran that also suggests that Allah has entered into his creation, then all the arguments that Muslims use against Christianity can now be applied to their own beliefs. And they have a choice. They can either say, we were wrong, and Allah can enter into his creation, in which case, they need to stop attacking Christian belief about God becoming a man. Perfect. Or, they uphold a contradiction because the text says that they were looking towards their Lord. Vision is a created thing, and so is direction. And if that is referring to Allah, then Allah has entered into vision, which is something that he has created.
Can I just propose something, please?
Yes, of course you can.
Okay. So the other angle, just to think about it, yeah?
Yes, they are.
That when it says towards your Lord,
Yes.
the concept and idea towards is more conceptual and metaphoric, rather than he's actually east, north, vertical, horizontal. Do you understand what I'm saying?
I get what you're saying.
So I'm suggesting, rather than Allah being in creation and people literally looking at him, the Arabic cultural expressions, I would suggest, need to be studied first. Because I would suggest in Arabic, just like Hebrew and Aramaic, if we translated them literally, there's a lot of expressions. Have you seen the one where it says grabbed him by his... Have you seen that one in the Bible?
Yes, I know.
Grab me by my... Now, in our thing, that would be some sort of a weird thing, wouldn't it? Yeah?
In our culture?
In our culture in England, if somebody says, grab me by my...
But are you getting off the topic?
No, I'm
To
not.
the
I'm
Quran.
talking about expressions. I'm talking about expressions. And I'm saying within Arabic expressions, when it said looking towards your Lord, I'm saying it doesn't literally mean your Lord is in creation, like I'm looking towards you right now, you're looking towards me.
Correct.
What does that mean?
You're looking at me.
No, I'm saying when it comes to this, because we both agree, I assume, that the hereafter is not quite like this world. Would you agree?
Agreed.
So therefore, we need to use expressions that relate to the world that we are in to give a conceptualization
Yes.
of something in the hereafter.
So let me deal with that.
Okay.
Right. Would you also agree with me that the hereafter is also created?
Agreed.
Right. So whether we are, so the fact of the matter of whether it is in the hereafter or now is irrelevant to the question of whether Allah has entered into his creation. Because whether vision as we understand it now, or vision as in something in the hereafter, it's still a created thing.
Yes.
So let me ask you, according to the text, when it says looking, are they seeing?
I would suggest not necessarily.
So are you saying that when it says looking, it doesn't mean
Do you mind if I hold it? Or
No, you can't
Sorry,
hold it.
if you
I'll
turn
hold it for you.
Yeah, go on. So, resurrection. Yeah. I'll leave alone here. We love the fleeing line. Some places up there will be in brightness. What's the next verse, please?
The next verse?
Some places that will be sad. Okay. Right. I would suggest that you would need to understand. Now I don't normally do this, right? The Arabic, but I would suggest to understand what that means in the expression, because it clearly, because it says, I think if that's Arabic there, it says literally black, right? The faces will be black. Is that the one?
No,
No, not the translation. I'm saying the.
No, it says some faces that day will beam in brightness and beauty, looking towards.
But that's in
their
brackets.
Lord.
I'm slightly confused. Where does it say God has eyes? You're saying something
No,
about
what it's saying,
It's saying
madam,
we're looking towards.
is it saying that there's a subcategory of people, some,
Yeah.
of the possessive group there that have faces that on a particular point in time and space
No,
will
because
have
it's-
an animation
anything
of
to do with Allah,
beauty,
you
looking,
generally
that's
need-
vision, that towards their Lord, that's direction. Now, you've got to understand, sister, as a Christian, I believe God can enter his creation. So for me, this isn't a problem on its own, because I believe God can enter into his creation. But the Muslims say that God cannot enter into his creation. And thus, for me, that is a rational contradiction. Because you can't say that someone can do something and someone can't do something at the same time if it's the same thing. Would you agree?
I don't know how that has anything to do with entering the creation.
Because
So maybe I'm a bit.
because vision, your sight,
Yeah.
is a created thing.
Yeah.
So if Allah enters into sight, he has entered into creation. Because you see because Allah created vision. Yeah? Now, for me, on its own, this isn't a problem. I could read that and go, yeah, sure, fine, I'm happy with that. But Muslims here at the park attack Christian belief, saying, how can God become a man? Well, then they say God can't become a man because the infinite can't become finite. Well, I'm sorry, if you can see Allah, in some way he has entered into the finite, because vision is not
Sorry, what number is that?
infinite.
Sorry to interrupt. What number is that?
75, 22 and 23.
20 what? Sorry. 20, 25.
So,
I don't normally do this, you know what I mean? But I'm saying I don't normally debate.
bro,
Christians
me and
or
you
We're
don't
cool.
have it. We're good with one
Exactly.
another.
Yeah.
Despite
I'm
the
just trying to
fact-
give an answer.
Despite the fact that supposedly I hate all Muslims, you know.
Well, of course they need something to accuse you of. No, that's what they say.
The Sunnis, the Salafis here. I look.
25.
No, sir, I don't.
21.
That's
23.
what they say, sir. Not what I say.
Look,
Yeah.
he has a right to defend his position and come into our book, and we have a right to defend it. But the manners with which these people behave, at the end of the day, is sickening all the time. You get me? I disagree with
Can
it.
you read Arabic? Read and
I
not
can
recite.
read it, but I don't know the whole glossary of the Quran, so I don't know the meaning of every word.
Okay, so
And-
just to be clear and just to be fair,
Yep.
you're not an Arabic speaker.
Definitely not a stinker.
And you're not someone who can read an Arabic text and just translate it from English to Arabic.
Depends which verse, but not in general. Not in
Fair
general. Yeah. On verse 21.
Are you a Muslim?
And leave
No,
hereafter
sir, I'm a
faces-
Christian. I'm very proud of it too.
And leave the hereafter faces
And my invitation to you is to follow a belief that makes sense. If your book contradicts your belief, you've got to choose. You either drop your book or you drop your belief, and then you find a better religion.
I hear what you're saying.
Yeah?
Okay.
Would you agree with me, brother?
Yeah.
Would you agree with me that if we are looking at a genuine contradiction of Tawheed, that you should leave Islam?
If you have a genuine contradiction of Tawheed,
Yes.
but that wouldn't mean a contradiction of Tawheed.
Well,
Because, let me just say this. In any one of our systems, right? In any system that we're dealing with, as long as you have a concept of a Most High God,
Yes.
you have a concept in the mind. And it's not so easy to talk about expressing this creator in relation to the creation. Do you get me? Like,
Yeah.
if I say we had a fight or we went and had a coffee or something like that, everyone understands. But when we're talking about an unknown being, what expressions do we use? The relationship between human beings. And so when you say that, it's like, what are they saying in their culture?
Yes.
Do you understand what I'm saying?
Yes.
And I'm saying before you jump on that there, I'm saying what?
it's the doctrine of analogy.
No, exactly, but I'm saying
Thomas Aquinas,
what do
Summa
they,
Theologica.
what do they mean in Arabic when they say? I'm just saying that's what I would look into. Obviously, you know, my time is not dedicated to debating Christians, as you know.
Yeah.
My
Right.
time is dedicated
Right, so
to showing
let's
that the
just look at
Sunni
this verse.
pagan infidel kafir monkey is a devil. Don't ever trust it. Sorry,
Bro, I corrected one guy for calling you a monkey.
No,
now I
no,
gotta
no,
correct you.
Kafir.
You can't call him a monkey.
No, it's from the Quran. Not individual. I'm saying as a whole, the Quran says turn them into apes and swine. Okay? And the behavior of them, as you've seen, no, it's not for you, because you'll be called a racist. What I'm saying is, anyway, sorry. All right, I won't say. Same time.
Okay,
Go on.
So let's just come to the
Yes.
text,
Yes.
right? I put it to you.
Yeah.
I put it to you that there is no other way
Okay.
that this verse can be read
Okay.
other than they have
Literally.
what we as Christians call the beatific vision.
Okay. Yeah,
Now
I
you
heard
know
that.
what Christians mean by the beatific vision?
I did about 20 years ago, but I
Right,
can't
let-
remember.
let
Go
me
ahead.
remind you.
Okay.
Because remember, we Christians got no problem with the idea of God entering into His creation. He does it all the time.
Okay.
Did it? 1 second, sir. I'm dealing with one thing at a time. So we got no problem with the idea of seeing God. So if you didn't have the belief that God couldn't enter into His creation, I wouldn't have this as an argument. I'd just read it and go, yeah, we believe the same, and move on.
I see what you mean.
Right? So the beatific vision is that you will see God. Literally see Him with sight.
Okay.
And when you see Him, it will illuminate your soul and brighten your soul. So this is what I would describe as the beatific vision.
But you're saying literally. You're saying literally you're going to see God.
You're literally going
You're
to see
saying
God.
that. Okay.
Vision in
I'm-
the next world is not different to His vision. It's not the
different.
same as vision in this
Okay,
world,
okay.
but it is still vision. You will
Okay.
see God,
Okay.
and that will illuminate your soul. Now, if you had the same argument, the same reasoning as me, this would not be an argument I could use. I would have to be consistent, and I would say Christians believe the same, and then we just have to find some other error in the Quran. But you believe that it is impossible, that it is not befitting His Majesty for Allah to enter into His creation.
You know not all Muslims believe that, right?
Do you believe it?
Okay, my thing is a bit more philosophical.
Yeah.
Okay, where you start off. My starting point is that Allah for the human brain is a concept because He's unknowable. So when you start off with an unknowable, the only thing you have left is a bunch of concepts. Yes.
Yes.
So therefore, anything of creation or human beings in relation to a conceptualization are what? A bunch of concepts again.
Yes.
You understand?
Yes, I know. I get your point.
So when we're saying we're going to see Him,
Yes.
it's still based upon concepts.
But you've now just replaced one problem with another.
Go ahead. Go ahead.
Because philosophically, you've just railroaded yourself into a brick wall.
Well, let's see. Go on.
And let me explain.
Yeah, go ahead.
Right? The language, and this is the writings of Thomas Aquinas.
Go ahead.
It's the writings of, I can't remember his name. You'll have to forgive me. There's many monks and Christian spiritualists that write about this. It's the failure of human language to describe the divine.
Exactly.
Right?
Yes.
Now,
Yeah.
how then can any language about God make sense unless there is an intermediary point that we can use as a point of reference, to give language meaning? For Christians, are you following my logic?
I am.
Yeah. Without that intermediary point that we use as a reference to give our language understandable, intelligible meaning,
Right.
words just disappear into vapor. They mean nothing.
Yep.
Right. For Christians,
Yeah.
that is that we are made in the image of God. So when we say that God is merciful,
Yes.
we have a deficient approximation of that mercy in the mercy that we practice.
Exactly.
When we say God is love, we have a deficient intermediary
Yep.
point of reference, which is the love that we practice.
Exactly. Same
And
thing.
so on and so on.
You
and so
agree
on
Muslims
and so
have
on.
that, right? You agree?
No.
You don't?
One second.
Okay, go
One
ahead.
second. Muslims,
Yeah.
as I understand the Salafists, I mean, as Shia, you might say something different.
Okay, go on.
But the Salafists would say that there is no such intermediary.
No similarity.
No, yes, Allah is totally other from anything in His creation. And if that is true, without some even smidging that moves in that direction, like an image that we can use, then all of our language becomes meaningless about God,
No, I agree with you there.
which means that
So-
this book is meaningless.
Well, it is to them because they don't follow it at the end of the day. So
now you deal with it as a Shia.
And now, let's say as a Muslim, they're the Sunnis, I'm a Muslim. Yeah, so as a Muslim, because Allah has mercy, humans have mercy, and creation has mercy. In their own book, it says that Allah has 100 parts of mercy. Have you heard this? And He gave one part to creation. Yes, have you heard this?
No, this is
That's
new.
why a beast doesn't eat its own. I think it's in the commentary of the Noble
I don't
Quran.
suppose you know the reference, so I
It's
can
in the
look it
Noble
up.
Quran, sorry.
Right.
You know the Noble Quran has a little commentary.
Yeah,
I'm sure
yeah.
it's Bukhari, but I'm saying,
I don't know that, so I can't reply.
no,
to
but
it.
I'm just saying, this is how I sort of saw a gap when I was a Sunni, a merger, you can say, with the Sufis. Because you know the Sufis believe that Allah comes in creation, right?
Yes.
Right.
Yeah.
So I'm
But
saying...
they're also condemned as heretics by
By
Sunni
the
Muslims.
Sunnis, right. So,
Does Shia condemn them as heretics?
no, remember,
Some do,
most,
some don't.
the majority, apart from one group of Sufis, come from Imam Ali. So they sort of like preserve the spiritual knowledge rather than get involved in the politics and get wiped out. Do you understand? So that's why me and you might have some things where we definitely agree. For instance, whatever the names of Allah that exist, because they exist, that's why you have creation. So humans could not have power unless one of Allah's attributes was power. Do you understand? So it's pretty ridiculous to say, but I'm saying it's conceptual.
Right.
Do you understand?
Okay.
Do you get the point?
But so it seems to me that you are agreeing that man is made in the image of God.
Yes. In a conceptual sense, in a mathematical and scientific sense, geometry, etc. So, do you
In
understand?
terms of our attributes.
Yes, 100%.
Yeah, in
Yes.
terms of our
the image
practice of character.
attribute. Yes,
Yeah.
100%.
So Allah is made in the image of God. That's
No,
fine.
no,
Now your
no,
argument.
Not
Humans are made
Allah.
in the yes, of course.
Yeah, yeah,
Sorry.
yeah.
Humans are made in the image of Allah. This
Yes.
is what you're saying. So now we have a point of reference. So let's come back to this passage. Right?
You make me laugh. By the way, he's caught me off guard. You all know what I came here for. I didn't come here to debate the Christians,
Please.
but we're having a good discussion.
Please.
Looking for.
I'm sorry, sir. If you just bear with us. Right.
Okay, it's Nadiratun. It's been Nadiratun.
No, it does say looking towards.
It does say looking towards.
Nadiratun.
That day,
Writing.
it does say looking.
Writing.
No, looking.
Looking.
Nada, yeah?
And faces.
Nadira.
Looking
Nadiratun. Nadiratun.
Distorted.
No. Look. To their Lord, looking. Yeah, towards Ilah. Yes? It says that.
It says that.
Yeah.
So it's an accurate translation.
Yes.
Right.
No, it repeats this word twice. Nadiratun. In one way, meaning is Raiden, and the other one looking. Look, Nadiratun. Raiden and looking.
So-
You have to read it all the back.
I hear what
And if
you're
he's
saying.
entered
No, but why is that one in
There is
brackets?
in
That
the
day.
sentence.
have no argument.
In the sentence in Quran, here the Nadiratun is different meaning.
You know what?
and the other
Let Bob look at this.
sentence different meaning.
Let's be fair.
Just picked
Let's
up
look at
looking.
this, right? Look at this.
She's got the Arabic.
I want you to look at this word for word translation, yeah?
Yeah.
Because I've never studied this verse before, so be fair with me, right?
Okay.
So it says here, faces,
Yeah.
that day,
Yeah.
the same word, the whatever it is, right?
Will be
read
Nadiratun.
in brackets.
Nadiratun.
Ilah means
Towards.
towards, their Lord,
Yes.
and then it says looking for exactly the same word up here.
Yeah.
So we'll be radiant and looking.
Yes.
Do you understand?
Yes.
Do you see why?
Will
I
be
suggest-
radiant and will be looking.
No, but I'm saying the word for looking is the same word for radiant. Do
Right.
you understand my point?
Yes.
So I know the word doesn't relate to sight in general.
Yes.
Do you understand my point?
Yes.
So this is why I said we would need to go into the expression.
Would it make sense to translate
If you want,
it?
I can study this, and if
Would
I
it
study
make
it, it's
sense?
game over, right?
Would it make go for it? Bring it back. Would it make sense to say this? Some faces that day will beam with brightness and beauty, brightness and beauty towards their Lord. Would that make sense?
That would be better.
That would be better.
That would be. I'm saying because it would fit the fact that exactly the same word is used. Do you get my point?
But I would say.
So I'm saying the same word that's used, brightness and beauty,
I
is
would
used
say-
and translated as looking.
Right, I would
You get my
say,
point?
here's a couple of things. One, I have, one second, thank you. I have a linguist,
Yeah.
Abdullah Yusuf Ali. He's a Muslim linguist.
Yeah.
He's a linguist translating Arabic to English.
Big mistakes, bro.
So what you're arguing is, don't trust Yusuf Ali's translation, trust mine.
No.
One second.
I'm saying we both looked at it. So
Right,
be
fine.
fair,
So fine.
your own.
So what you're saying is, don't trust Yusuf Ali's translation, trust both of yours.
No. Your own. Because remember, you said, would it be fair to say that? Number one. And
No,
number two,
this is what the
Yusuf
Quran
Ali.
is saying.
Hear what I'm saying? Number one,
No, hold on one
Yusuf
second.
Ali's a Sunni.
You missed my point.
Oh, go on.
Because regardless if the word is the same, and I'm willing to accept that it is. I'm not an Arabic speaker.
I'm Arabic
Yeah.
speaker.
Yusuf Ali
What do you say it means?
translates one word in brightness and beauty
Right.
and the same word in Luke.
Yeah.
Now he must have had a linguistic reason to do that.
Not always.
One second.
Okay, go ahead.
And I am inclined to believe a linguist who is competent in English and Arabic
Okay. I agree.
rather than someone who
let's
says
say
that
amateurs.
he's not an Arabic speaker and someone who probably is an Arabic speaker but not a scholar of the language.
But hold on, let me put this back to you. Hold on. You also wait. Stop.
It doesn't change the
Bob,
argument.
let me add something to that. Not only a linguist, but also somebody that's translating for where?
Pakistan.
For the Sunni world.
Yes.
Yes?
Yes.
And therefore, do you agree politics comes into it? Yes or no?
Yes, the Sunni theology will influence the translation.
When I say politics, what I mean is, if you go to
He's Shia.
Sufi translations, Sufi commentaries, etc., they're not going to say this. Just
From the same Quranic text, or the same-
the Arabic. I'll be honest with you. Sorry.
This is my question.
Yeah.
If you're reading from the same Quranic text, okay, then it should be complete. There shouldn't be no deviation from what
Okay.
is said or written or how
It should
it's
be. It should be.
All right,
But I
so-
can show you 7 translations. One which says exactly the opposite of another.
Did you get that?
Do you understand?
You'll register that,
I want you
guys.
to listen, and that is political.
Yes.
Do you understand?
Oh, I
So
believe
that's
you.
why I do not trust the That's why I said let's both go through it, because I admit I haven't studied that verse.
Yeah.
In other words, I'm not going to get in a debate with a Sunni based upon that verse, am I?
Yeah.
Do you see my point? So it's
So
not something.
how
else.
would you have this verse translated?
That word there, the fact that it says beauty and glory and so on, and then says looking, I have no. What's the root? Let me go to the root. Let me just go to the root. Go to the root. Go to the root.
The word.
Just to catch you up very quickly. Just to catch you up very quickly. I'm just pointing out that the Quran says that Allah has entered into His own creation, and that this contradicts Muslim arguments against Christianity when they say that God can't enter into His own creation.
The predominant meaning
Yeah.
is radiance.
Come back.
Yeah?
Come back.
The predominant meaning is radiance.
Let's have a look. Let's have a look. Quran dictionary, trilateral root, mandara occurs 3 times in the Quran to derive.
Actually, let's go to several translations.
1 second.
Go ahead. No, because it will give you different translations. So let's. This is brilliant. Actually, I should have thought of this.
So, radiance. So, how would you translate it?
That's what I'm saying. Let's go. Hold on. Let's
How
go
would you
to English
translate it?
translation. If you
Because-
didn't, wait. Look,
One
hold on.
second.
You've got 7 translations here.
1 second. We both know in languages that words can have multiple meanings, but that doesn't mean that every meaning is appropriate translation.
Agree. Brother, listen to what I just said.
Yeah.
In their
meaning
translations, just the
stands
Sunnis
within the
alone,
sentence.
they've got opposite translations.
I agree.
One of them agrees with my position 100%.
So let's look through how the translators
In
translate.
this or my one?
Have we got multiple translations that we can
Of this
look
one?
at?
That's what I'm saying, yes.
Right.
Right here.
Can we read them, please?
All right. So this is, what was the verse? Is that the right verse?
75, 22 and 23. 75, 22 and 23. And then if it's all right, I'll read the various translations.
Sure. Well, that's what I want to do here, bro. I like having discussions. Right. So here,
May
the
I?
verse. Yes.
Am I alright to hold your phone?
There you go. Yeah.
Sorry? Yeah,
Can you hold your phone?
So, I'm just going to read all the translations. Sahih International. Some faces that day will be radiant. Pictorial. Wait. Can we have the two verses together?
No, that's Sahih International. That's Pickford. That's Yusuf Ali.
Yeah. Well,
It's over
what verse are we on? 22. All right.
Yeah, that's the same verse, isn't it?
One second.
Same thing.
Yeah, I think it is.
I was a translator for qualified translator, but not in Arabic, in different language. But I know Arabic.
No, hold on. I want the next verse.
Next verse.
23.
Okay, so that's 22.
Translate.
I believe in muscular Christianity. Tonight.
Hold on, wait. Look at this
23.
one. Look at Muslim Khan. Some
23.
faces that they will be.
Sorry, no, it's
No,
23, not 22.
No. But look at this one.
Yeah.
It's 22 and 23.
No, it's 22 though.
No,
It says 22. You've got 22
I agree.
highlighted.
But I'm saying the one you've got is 22 and 23 what you're showing. So now, looking at their Lord, looking towards their Lord,
Yes.
looking towards.
Thank you.
Go ahead.
Right. So now my point has become stronger because multiple translators
I agree.
from multiple backgrounds and multiple situations
All Sunni, by the way. Go ahead.
are all translating it. Listen.
I'm just saying.
Listen. Sahih International, looking at their Lord. Pictorial, looking towards their Lord. Yusuf Ali, looking towards their Lord. Shakir, looking to their Lord. Muhammad Sawa, and look forward to receiving mercy from their Lord. That's a very liberal translation, clearly. Arbery, gazing upon their Lord. So now multiple translations have just made my argument stronger,
In what way?
because it shows that the translation of Yusuf Ali is correct. It should be translated
I would
as
say
looking
not
towards their Lord.
necessarily. That's what I'm saying. I
Because
hear
your
what you're saying.
argument is based saying
No.
your argument is saying that this word looking should not be translated as looking.
No, that's not my argument.
So what is your
What I was
argument?
saying. I'm saying to understand what the verse is saying fully, you would need to go back to the Arabic expressions. I agree what you said in relation to linguists, but most of them are trying to veer around the Sufistic explanation. So therefore I said, in relation to this, anything to do with the hereafter in general is going to have some mystical slant to it. Do you understand?
I get your argument.
So I'm saying to you, from a literal perspective, as you're saying,
Let's just settle this argument.
go.
Do you believe as a Muslim that Allah can enter into his creation?
The most basic answer is no, because Allah is beyond creation, and creation is like an illusion, as the Quran says, and Allah is the only reality.
Okay.
You understand that?
I get that. Now answer this question. Is vision a created thing?
It is indeed.
Does it say they are seeing their
Okay.
Lord?
All right, you want me to go deep? All right, I'll go deep. Let me
Does it
just
say
go
they're
deep.
seeing
You
their
know,
Lord?
let me just go deep. Okay, wait, stop, watch. I'm going to smash it. Unfortunately, you forced me now.
Is that a bright idea?
No, it's not that.
Go on.
It's just I normally don't talk about this. Wait. You've just forced me now to go into this. Do you agree that all vision that we have is light coming to the eyes?
I believe. No.
Hold on. Light coming to the eyes, translated into electrical signals, interpreted by the brain, and recreated somewhere else.
In the world, in this world, yes.
Right, hold on. Is this thing we call vision, is it the brain doing it? Is it the self doing it? What is doing it?
It's the brain doing.
How do you know it's the brain doing it? The vision itself. I'm saying when the image is recreated, because if light is coming to our eyes, how do we know what's really outside?
You can do brain scans and activate different parts of the brain,
yes.
and we see it work, and you can actually identify the part of the brain that is connected to the ocular nerves that go right to the back of the head, which is weird, but there you go. And they actually, our eye sees the world upside down, and our brain turns the vision back again.
Okay, but no, you missed the point, sorry. I'm saying, when it comes to reality, when you talk about the creator inside or outside, yes? This is what I used to debate the Salafis with like 20 years ago, yes? And the same subject. So I said, when you ask the question, do I believe he's in or out, etc., I'm saying creation is, as we experience it, is an illusion in the human mind. That's what I'm saying. So when you say, is Allah in creation, if the creation that we believe is real is in fact an imaginary thing, and Allah is a concept, then what do you mean He's in it? Do you understand that point?
I do.
Right.
Because you see it, you're saying that only Allah is the ultimate reality,
Yes,
the only
thank you.
real reality,
Right.
and that this world is illusory.
Right, so humans don't actually know
Right,
what's
one
going
second.
on. Okay.
Here's why I think you're wrong.
Go ahead.
Because now you've just got yourself into a whole bunch of other trouble.
Not really, but go ahead.
You have.
You're forcing me to talk about things I
Yeah.
don't want to talk about. Go on.
Because God is not a liar. An illusion is a lie. God is not a liar, and there is no deceit within Him.
Right.
If God has, by your logic, made this an illusion, then God has deceived us, and the father of lies is the devil.
Hold on, that's not quite what I
One
said.
one second, one second, one second.
Go ahead.
Furthermore, I'm not sure that you actually understand which part of creation I'm saying Allah is entering into.
I understand that.
Which
But
part?
you misrepresented me.
Fine, you can correct me. Which part, as well as correcting me, which part of creation am I saying that Allah is entering into?
You're saying in the hereafter. I'm saying to you,
Which part of creation?
Which part of creation?
Yeah, which
We're
part?
talking about in the heavens.
Right, to
In heaven.
clarify, to be absolutely clear,
Yeah.
I am saying that He is entering into that part of creation that we call vision.
The part of creation that is vision.
Yes.
Okay, what is that when you say that?
It is sight. It is to
Right,
behold something.
Right. So I'm saying to you, do you agree that human perception and experience is that we see with our eyes? Yes or no? The experience is that you see with your eyes, yes or no?
Of vision,
No. Listen to the question.
Yeah.
Human experience is that you see with your eyes. With your eyes. That an eyeball is the thing that sees. That's the experience
no,
we
we
have.
see with our brain and
The
our eyes permit us to
experience.
see.
No, that's science. You heard that from scientists.
And they're right.
Listen to what I said. The experience. For instance, if no scientist ever told you about the brain, you would have just thought, well, these eyes here, they move that way, they move that way, and I see with these things here.
No, you
Yes
see
or
with
no?
your brain.
Listen, that's science. I'm
Correct.
saying the experience that you have until a
Yes.
scientist told you about
The
that.
experience,
Is
the
with the
phenomena of vision happens in your brain.
No, but listen to the question.
I have.
No, you haven't. You keep talking about phenomena and so on. Science. I'm saying a human being experiences
Sight.
this particular thing.
Where?
That when you're seeing, no. You're going to science. You're not a scientist. So let's stick to the question.
I'm not wrong either.
No. We're not talking about science. I said specifically to you, this thing where, and I'm wondering why you're dodging this question. Listen to the question. Human beings' experience of this world through the eye, although we know through science the brain can translate, but we experience it to be the eyeballs, yes or no? If you were 10 years old,
Okay,
and
bro.
you-
Either wait.
No,
Either I don't understand the question you're asking, because the only way that I can answer the question you're asking, as I understand it, is that it happens in your brain.
Okay.
I can't give you another answer
Did you
because I
know
don't
that
have one.
before you read that or heard it in science? Did you know that before?
Well, obviously I learnt it at school.
Right. So I'm saying to you, the experience,
Yes.
not the study of it.
Yes, the experience
Of it.
occurs in the brain. I can't give you another answer. I don't know what you're getting
I
at.
said.
Try another question. Try rephrasing the question.
Okay. As you're walking along, whatever you're seeing, before you hear that you even have a brain, okay? You're using these two things in your head, and you believe that these two things are what actually see what's out there. You need scientists to tell you the image is turned upside down the other way, and the
Are
signals.
you talking about
decode.
common perception?
If you want to call it common perception, however you want to say it.
So
I
like
said experience.
a naive, innocent way of understanding vision. Is that what you're talking about?
Yes, let's put it that way. However you want to put it.
Okay,
Yes.
if we're talking about a naive, ignorant perception of reality, then yes, most people would say they see through their eyes.
Right. So that's the normal visual perception that we have of this thing.
No,
but that's not
that
reality.
is a childish perception of vision that is inaccurate.
Hold on. When you say childish, how many disciples understood that it's in the brain?
Pretty sure all of them.
Really? Give me
might not.
one scripture that says that any of the disciples understood that imagery was recreated in the brain.
The Bible is, you're getting way off the topic.
No, I'm not, because what I'm pointing to is where you said about illusion and creation and so on,
Yes.
and I'm saying to you, the way that we naturally perceive this experience of vision is that we see with the eyes, but then you're saying science, on the other hand, tells you that it's in the brain that decodes light and electrical signals.
Are you
So
saying? Are you saying that God is a liar?
No, I'm not.
So
I'm saying to
is
you,
this an illusion or real?
I'm saying to you, the illusion is that we are deluded until we come into knowledge, right?
Yeah, carry on.
That we are born into the illusion that we see with the eyes. Do you understand?
I get what you're saying, but you're not actually
I'm addressing it directly.
right.
As a baby, we're born, yes. God created us. In other words, God didn't
Let me-
make us know straight away.
Let me
that
come
it is
back
the
to the
brain. Hold on.
text.
Hold
How
on,
does this
no,
apply to
stop,
the
stop.
text?
I'm going to show you.
Apply it to the text.
Directly applying it to the text.
All right, apply it
when
directly
you
to
spoke
the
about
text.
vision, and I'm saying to you,
Go on.
when you get into vision,
Yes.
as you're trying to say, I'm saying, what exactly is that? Because
Yes.
you asked me,
Yes.
do I believe that Allah can come into His creation?
Yes.
So I'm saying to you, everything we know about creation
Yes.
is in the human brain,
Yes.
and therefore in the human mind.
Yes.
So you're actually asking me, do I believe that Allah can come into the perceptional, recreated reality
Let me
that we have in our
let's
minds?
try and cut to the chase. 'Cause
Do you understand? Your question's
I
deeper
think,
than what you think.
I think you're.
I'm not running.
No, you're not running, but you are waffling.
No, I'm not waffling at all. I'm
So-
being scientific and
okay,
deep.
no,
I'm
let's-
being real.
Let's cut into it. You're trying to be philosophical.
No, I'm not.
So-
I'm being scientific.
No,
And
no, you're really not.
I am.
But let's come to the question, right? When it says looking towards their Lord,
Yes, yes.
is that speaking of a real experience or not?
It's speaking of the experience. It could be speaking of the experience of what looking actually is. Because what is looking? There you go.
So,
What is looking actually?
looking is
in
vision.
reality?
It is looking is a created
Um,
action.
Which is what?
Looking is a created
Which
action.
is what?
It is a creation of God.
Yeah, which is-
It is the act of seeing.
Yeah, which is what? That's what I'm saying.
The act of seeing is the act of beholding. It's a vision.
Do you see how the more you try to describe it, beholding?
Yeah, but-
do you see how you're getting
Don't
stuck?
you realise that all you're doing is reducing the Quran to nonsense?
No, I'm not.
You're
I'm
saying that
to
its
you-
words don't mean anything.
No, I'm not. What I'm saying to you is.
This is your
No,
Quran we're arguing about.
stop. What I'm saying to you is, when it comes to the hereafter,
Christian.
in both of our scriptures, it has to be more on a basis of we can't quite comprehend it, but it needs to give us something kind of concrete.
Let me ask another question.
Go ahead.
'Cause I
Do you
don't
agree
think-
what I just said, though?
Don't you? Wait.
You agree what I just said?
I agree.
In both cases, our book and your book, when it comes to the Most High God
Let me-
and the hereafter,
let me answer the
we
question
can't just
then.
concretize it like that.
Let me answer the
Go
question
ahead,
then.
go ahead.
Descriptions of God
Yep.
are not accurate in the sense that they cannot comprehend. But what you're missing is this isn't a description of God. This is the description of an action of a created thing.
Which includes,
Wait 1 second.
which must include.
1 second.
Go ahead.
It
Which
is
you've
not.
included.
1 second.
Go.
It is not talking about a description of Allah. The one being described here is the creation.
Yes.
Some is a subcategory of there. There is a reference to us, the created thing, who have faces. That is a created thing. On a day, that is a created thing. That will beam in brightness and beauty, these are both created. Looking, that is the action of the beholder towards their Lord.
Stop.
Hold on 1 second.
Okay, go on. You're in trouble now.
1 second. I fail to see how what you have said makes any
You're in
sense
trouble
of the Quranic verse that I'm reading, except by reducing the words of the Quran to such meaningless things that they don't mean anything at all.
Right.
And that means that your God is not a good
So, hold
communicator.
on. So what did you just say
Some
about the
places
whole verse?
in
Hold on.
Arabic it
Hold on,
doesn't
wait,
say.
wait,
This is
stop.
the same
Stop,
surah
wait,
in Arabic.
bro.
It doesn't say
Bro,
some
you can
places.
see. What did you say about the whole thing? It is a description, not of Allah. It's a description of what?
Of the one carrying out the action.
Right. So your whole point is using the verse
Yes.
to say that Allah is in creation.
Yes, He's
So
entered creation.
implicitly,
He's entered
you
vision.
have used that verse to give some sort of description of Allah, at the very least,
No, I haven't.
that He can be looked at, number one, and two, that He can come into creation. Yes.
The logical
No,
implication.
no. I'm just making the point that
Yeah, but
despite
you
you
missed-
saying, hold on,
you got it quite
one
wrong.
sec, one sec. No, despite you saying
Go on, I'll let
that
you
this verse is only referring to human beings and their perception, I'm saying the whole reason you're using the verse is to say that Allah can come into creation and He can be looked at, which now is putting Allah in some form that He's concretized or whatever it is. So the discussion that has to be had, which I've put on the table, is the very nature of vision. You
Yes.
have forced me to get deep and scientific. Unfortunately, you were drowning, and
No,
I
not
didn't want
really.
to throw you a rubber dinghy, right? So the point is, unfortunately, my brother, when we're going to the hereafter, I suggest you understand symbolism. If you want, I can go and study this verse
Yes, please.
specifically for you.
Yes, do that, and
Right?
let's come
and
back.
then we come back to it.
Yeah.
But fair enough.
Okay.
Fair enough.
But bro, I think I want to leave you with this
Go,
thought.
go.
If you look into it
Yeah.
and you discover that actually, one
I'd
second.
have no problem with it, seriously.
Right, so
I would-
Some
whatever
I
it says-
just want to
yeah.
ask you a quick
Yeah,
question.
Go on.
Do you believe that Allah can enter into His creation?
In relation to literally, no.
Right.
But conceptually, yes.
Right.
I believe that let me make this statement so you'll understand me.
Okay.
I believe
One
that all things are a manifestation
One
of
second.
Allah's names.
Right.
Do you
so
understand
one
that?
second.
Yeah.
Because you have compromised the division between Allah and creation. And if you're willing,
Compromise, I've just given you
if
what the
you're
Quran
willing,
is saying.
if you're willing to rupture the barrier, I don't have an argument.
It's not rupture.
That is the quickest way to kill my argument. You just rupture the barrier.
You
But
agree
then
the
you don't
Quran-
criticize the
One-
incarnation
no,
of Christ.
No. Hold on. Do you agree that the Quran says that Allah blew His spirit into Adam?
Yes.
So you already know there's this particular dispute. So for
Yes.
instance, it says Allah taught Adam all the names.
Yes.
There's communication directly.
Yes.
So when you're
I
saying,
know.
listen what I'm saying. When you're saying looking could be your imaginary thing. No, listen
No,
what I'm saying.
that's not looking.
No, listen to what I'm saying. We all can say, I saw that, oh no, that's not him.
That's not looking.
Let me finish, I'm
That's
making a point.
imagining.
Listen to what I'm saying. All looking goes to the imaginary faculty, bro. You can't deny
No,
that.
it doesn't.
Listen
No,
what
it
I'm saying.
doesn't.
All right, listen to my point. I'm saying when you're speaking, it's a constant reciprocal thing. You
Yes.
understand the point? Right. So I'm saying it's much more than just seeing, because seeing is only your
And
part.
this is why, brother, you should abandon Islam. This is why you
Brother,
should abandon
you know what?
Islam.
I
Let me
think
finish.
I'm
Let
gonna
me
get deep
finish.
with you.
You've just destroyed Islam. Let me finish.
I haven't.
You've
I've given you
oh,
the Islam
one
of the Quran.
Bro,
You've been debating
bro,
the Sunni pagans.
Bro, let me have one more word and let's just stop.
Okay.
Right, you should abandon Islam because you have admitted,
Yes.
right, that there is communication, direct communication between the creation and the creator.
What Muslims say?
That is more than simply power, that it is actually the entering into creation of Allah Himself.
I didn't say that.
Right?
I didn't say that.
He directly speaks to
I didn't say that either. I said
Adam
communication.
speaks to
I said
Allah.
communication.
It says here that they see Allah. You can't see, and it's talking about what they do. Now I'm going to really finish a point, right? They are looking towards their Lord. That is the act of seeing, and if that is an act of what the humans are doing on the day of resurrection. They are looking towards their Lord. The day is created, the people are created, and the vision is created, the direction is created. That means for this verse to be true, Allah has entered His creation. If He has not entered into His creation, then this verse is false. Either way, you have a contradiction. Either way, the Quran is wrong. Either way, you need to abandon Islam.
Well, that's not the
Father,
case.
same
Bro, I'm going to stop. I'm going to stop. I've been here a while. I've been here a while.
Fair enough.
Yeah. I'm sorry.
Let me
I'm
just say
gonna
this
stop.
last
You
bit.
have to check
I'm
because
gonna
some
stop.
From the
faces
philosophical
here
perspective.
saying with two faces.
From the philosophical
Okay, so
perspective,
it's faces. That's fine.
there is
That's fine.
something called
That's fine. You just need to ask
the
yourself whether
name
it means
and
all
the
or
named. So there is Allah, which is the
That's
name,
right, so you just
and
need to ask yourself all
the thing, so to speak, or Allah, who is the name. So there's a difference between
Right, so
Allah
then you ask yourself, does that
and the
mean
name.
all faces or
And
some
when you
faces?
get into this particular
All
point,
faces
this
going to
particular,
heaven.
can you hear me louder than him? Yes, you can. When you get into a conversation about this, you're basically trying to say, what is the nature of the Most High Creator? And that becomes a difficult task for any human. So therefore, you can just take it and say, well, whatever it means, we're trying to say you're going to look at your God however you want to mean it, however you want to take it. Because when it comes to the Most High, we all agree, we can't describe Him like I describe a human being, or a tree, or a giraffe. Do you understand? It's not exactly
It's a fair
as
translation.
literal. But we'll see.
Anyway, you look after yourself.
Take care, right.
Right, let's do a wrap up, and then I want to actually talk about Christianity. That'd be nice.
What are you going to put on the title of this? Don't put Bob smashes into it. Okay. Be fair, right? Put something like Bob has
Something like Shia trips himself up. Shia destroys himself. Shia destroys Islam. He didn't. They all want to touch it. Yeah, let's do a quick wrap up. So, I'm just going to do a quick wrap up. I'm going to do a quick wrap up. Come back again. Yeah? So, come back. No, not now. I mean later. I'm just going to do a wrap up and then I'm going. So, basically, what we have is that Muslims come around the park attacking the Christian belief of the incarnation, saying that it is impossible for the infinite to become finite, that God cannot enter into his creation. And what we've seen today, in a very clear verse of the Quran, that a created thing, the person, in a created time, the day, using a created attribute, vision, using a spatial reference which is also created, towards, sees their Lord, which as Christians we call the beatific vision. Now if Muslims believed that God could enter into his creation and did not attack the doctrine of the incarnation, I could not use this verse as an argument. I would have no argument to use. But Muslims are obstinate. Allah cannot enter into his creation. They are obstinate that the belief in the incarnation reflects an internal contradiction. So now the Muslims have to be consistent. If it is a contradiction to say that God cannot become a man because it contradicts the attributes of God, then it must also be a contradiction to say that on the day of resurrection we will see Allah, because vision is a created thing. And if you can see Allah on the day of judgment, then that means Allah has entered into a human attribute he has created, vision. And all the arguments against the Christian incarnation now apply to the Quran, which means that the Quran is in error. And if the Quran is in error, according to the Quran, it is not from Allah. Therefore, Muslims have a choice. You either abandon the idea that God cannot enter into his creation, and you accept that God can enter into his creation if he wants to, and stop arguing against the doctrine of the incarnation, or you abandon the Quran as a self-contradictory book that contradicts itself, that contradicts your essential doctrines, and you give up Islam. But either way, whatever you do, it's not the Islam you believe in. You either abandon Islam or reform Islam. It's up to you.